Hi, everyone. Welcome to the FIBA America's virtual coaching clinic offered to the national federations. It includes 12 clinics every Thursday at 6 p.m. Miami time in English or in Spanish. At the end of the clinic, you'll have a chance to ask Coach questions. The video will also be recorded so that you can replay it at any time in the future. We would like to thank WABC, which is short for World Association of Basketball Coaches, for their support. The WABC materials, which includes manuals and videos, has been sent to all participants. Today, in our 9th of our 12-week seminar, we will be joined by Bryan Gates, an assistant coach for the Minnesota Timberwolves. But before we get to him, let me first introduce Carol Callan, the FIBA America's president. Carol, take it away.
Thanks, Grady, and welcome everyone. I'd like to add my appreciation to Bryan for spending time with us this evening and giving us a lot of information that will be helpful to all of the coaches. And we thank everybody for participating in this evening's virtual coaches clinic. Bryan has a great experience, as we've come to find out during a small conversation prior to the start of this. Not only is he involved in the NBA, he's a successful G League coach as well. He's done an awful lot for FIBA in the past through Basketball Without Borders and the different coaches and youth clinics around the world. So we're thrilled to have Bryan. Bryan, thank you for joining us this evening. And I'll turn it back to Grady so that, Grady, you can give the appropriate introduction for Bryan. Thank you.
Thanks, Carol. So today I'm excited to introduce assistant coach for the Timberwolves, Bryan Gates. He began his career in 1997 as an intern for the Idaho Stampede of the CBA. He worked as an assistant coach for the team until he was named a head coach of the USBL Oklahoma Storm team in 2001. Gates went back to the NBA D-League in 2005 as an assistant coach for the Austin Toros. The next year, he became the head coach of the Idaho Stampede, which was the first team he ever worked for, and led them to a championship the following season. He was awarded D-League Coach of the Year in 2007 and 2008. His success in the D-League led him to being called up to the NBA. Since 2009, Bryan has been an assistant coach for the Kings, the Pelicans, and now the Timberwolves. His coaching resume extends beyond the United States. He coached the pro team in Lebanon, and he was an assistant coach for the Canadian men's national team that played in the 2015 Pan American Games. Bryan is a member of the Junior NBA Leadership Council, and his commitment to player development and growing the game worldwide is incredible. And we may or may not have an appearance by one of his kids, as he is a father of triplets. Let's welcome Bryan Gates.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Good news is the boys are headed to baseball practice, so we'll get, neither of those two will show up, but my daughter might slip in here, and you never know. So I'm just going to kind of get right to it here with what we're going to do with the clinic. And we will go from there. And I'm obviously, we'll save questions for the end. This piece of paper that I have here, we will make available to anybody that wants them. Where you registered, you can email Paulo and he will send it out. This Dropbox link, you can just click on it, and it is a Dropbox for the video that we are going to watch. So with all that kind of being said, email and my cell number here. I'm a pretty good emailer in return of text messages. I have a WhatsApp account also, so please reach out to me if you have any other questions, if any other things come to your mind after we're done. So I'm going to really just kind of stick on pick and roll defense and what I think, in my opinion, is the best way to defend it. But here are kind of just some overall thoughts that I have on defense. First, there's never been a basketball game that's been 0-0. So I say this all the time: is you can't catch every raindrop. You will have a situation in any time, especially in a pick and roll. What happens if this happens? You know, the big question in the NBA is what happens when LeBron and AD are in a pick and roll. Well, it's, you know, a big issue is it's one of the reasons why they're LeBron and AD and they're as successful as they are, is because they're very talented. So we set a game plan. And you might have to adjust, and they might miss some shots, and you get your entire team on the exact same page and you move on. So it goes to my number 2, believe in what you believe and be ready to adjust and combine your thoughts. So what I mean by combining your thoughts, This year in Minnesota, we, I joined to kind of run our defense with David Vanderpool that was at Portland. And, we kind of, he has his way and he runs our defense. And I've just kind of added some thoughts to him, now being in my 11th year in the NBA, kind of seeing how the games goes. And the most important part about it, the game is always changing. One of my slides, I will show you how much analytics have changed the game. And more importantly, make sure to adjust. One, especially, for us this year, I saw it a lot in the NBA. One substitute changes everything. Some teams actually might start big and then take out a 4-man and put in another point guard. And so obviously everything changes. Learning from your team. Last year, I was an assistant coach for the Sacramento Kings. You're going to see a lot of Kings clips through this. And Willie Cauley-Stein and De'Aaron Fox defensively were in the second most pick and rolls of any other combination in the league. And it was very enjoyable to watch those guys grow together and form their chemistry. And our best two guys defending were actually Harry and Buddy. And a big reason why Harry and Buddy were so good together is both of them are very vocal guys. They're very spirited players. They talk a lot on both ends of the floor and have great personalities. And, as coaches, I know this for a fact, if we gave all of us one wish, what would our team do more? And I'm pretty sure communication and talking to each other during a game would be high on that list. So, it's a big part. And I think that's why Harry and Buddy were so good. You're going to hear me use terms today like weak and strong and blue. That's just what we use in Minnesota. One of the things we did last year in Sacramento, Kosta Koufos and Willie Cauley-Stein, what came out of their mouth in a pick and roll was, "I'm on your right. I'm on your right." And it really took us to a different level. So, when I talk about making adjustments, we always say, when a screen is coming, is it on your right or, force them right or what is it? We say weak and strong. That's the direction we want you to send the ball. So, that stuff is whatever you believe in and move forward. I'm going to talk about point of pickup and where you engage the ball as a big. And I have some clips with Karl Anthony Towns for us and our young undrafted rookie Naz Reid. So, and then the last thing about defense is it's good D, better O, always wins. And the last person we use this line a lot. The last one that has the pen wins. Well, if you say you're going to do this and I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do my defense, then you're going to tell me how you're going to adjust to it and back and forth. And during this stay at home, we actually had J.J. Watt talk to our team, and he made if people don't know who J.J. Watt is, he's an American football player. He plays for the Texans. And his career, he was such of a workaholic. And it kind of caught up to him where he went through a couple years and battled some injuries. And so he had to actually tone down his workouts and what he did. And he just said it. He said, be stubborn about your goals, but be flexible in the process. And we've kind of adapted that as our coaching staff. It's like, hey, let's make sure that we know what we want to do, but be flexible in how we get there, just so we're all moving forward. So here we go in pick and rolls. So one of the biggest things that I believe you have to do is you have to decide what you want to do. And here are 6 areas that you have to determine what you want to do. And one of the reasons why I bring this up is, so if here's a court and the first one is center, and a lot of teams do this, they split the court this way. And it's just wherever the ball is at, they send it that way. They keep it out of the paint, and it's 1 or 2 calls. Brooklyn will have a guy here and he'll just say center, and the guard chooses which way he sends the ball. Atlanta, Coach Bud started this in Atlanta. I think the Spurs used it even at the end of Tim Duncan's career, and the big stands back, and they just use 2 sides, and it's just center. So you send it this way or you send it this way. A third, which most teams in the NBA team do, and I think colleges will do the same, it's a blue or it's a down anytime the ball is here. Or some teams call it ice. They just send it here. And in here, they split the court in middle. This way would be for us weak, or this way would be strong. And that was just right hand is strong, left hand is weak. So it's 3 areas. And then some teams will actually add a 5th area, and it's in here. And it's more in the corners. And one of the terms that I've really liked is we called it blue by yourself. And so if the ball is here, you would force it to this area, and the big really wouldn't help. If any pick and rolls happen in this area in the corner, you just did it that way, which I kind of like. Again, I talked to you about David Vanderpool and he had kind of the same thought. If the ball was here and a screen happened here, you would blue it and you would force them, and the big would take the ball to the corner of the backboard. I personally just think, and this is just not in pick and roll, in all, too many teams overhelp when the ball is going here. When you really, I mean, there's not very many people that can dribble the ball underneath the basket and come back and shoot a shot. So that is, in my opinion, you have to determine what areas you want. Are you just want 2, which is a center? You want 3, where if the ball's on the side, you do one thing, the ball's in the middle, which most teams do. Wherever you're coaching at, if there's a lot of corner pick and rolls, you know, that is, you have to address that. And then the last one, where there are actually 2 more, there's more and more teams in this area. If a screen happens inside the 3-point line, a lot of teams just go under it. Some teams will run elbow pick and roll, where the ball is here, there's a player here, the ball goes to here, and he comes and screens and they play. A lot of teams they go under or they switch it because the screener and the ball are inside the 3-point line. So anytime any screen happens inside the 3-point line, it's an automatic under, just because analytics has changed kind of how we play. And then the last one is, and a lot of teams still like to go under, and there's some teams which I would adapt this. You call it a 4-point line. If you ever make it to the Philadelphia 76ers practice court, they have a very thin line right here, and it's called the 4-point line. And anytime a screen is outside here, it is an automatic under. So those are just kind of some areas, whatever conference, whatever league you play in, that you feel that that you need to adapt to those. Obviously, I think that's a smart way. So those are it. The 5th's inside the 3-point line, and if the ball's too high. So just kind of for the NBA, in a normal NBA game, there's 39 possessions out of every 100 possessions. There's a middle pick and roll of some sort. And on the side, there's 30. So you're looking at almost, 70%, almost 75% of all plays in an NBA game have some kind of a pick and roll. Okay. In the middle, Atlanta leads at 59 middle pick and rolls per 100 possessions in a game. The NBA kind of, where analytics have gone wild. The average for how we determine is about 108 possessions a game. So you got to think that Atlanta's going to run probably about 61 pick and rolls per game just in the middle of the floor. Chicago will run 43 that are on the side. And then at times, some of them do not even get tabbed because players reject them. And I'll show you a clip if you don't know what a reject is, and double drags. Okay. One of the things that I'm a big believer in is having your automatics, which is right here. And I will go through some of these at the very end on the tape. Is what are you doing in double drags? What are you doing in stack action, pistol? And for us in the NBA, these are kind of automatics that happen. Okay. And then I think this is a very big question you always have to declare with your team. What trumps what? If you are, if you're playing us in Minnesota, and you want to force D'Angelo Russell to his right hand, so you want a strong D'Angelo, but you also want to trap any screen and roll with Karl Anthony Towns. So what happens if Karl and D'Angelo are in a pick and roll together? Or if you want to go under on our backup point guard, what happens if Karl and the backup point guard are in a pick and roll together? So just make sure that there's always an order of your game plan. To be honest with you, it's a lot of reasons why some teams have just gone to the center. They just force everything to the left or to the right, and they call it a day, and it works for them. So I think you always have to make sure that you have to, what trumps what. And then here is kind of the guts of what I'm going to talk about is the pick and roll rules, the difference between a direct and an indirect pick and roll. A direct pick and roll is any time a pick and roll happens, the ball handler shoots it or basically turns the ball over, or if the screener rolls to the basket or pops and takes a shot, or now in the NBA, if the ball handler comes off the pick and roll and throws it to another player and he shoots it, that's called a direct pick and roll. An indirect is if you come off the pick and roll, you hit the roller and the roller passes it to somebody, you have now defended the pick and roll in the NBA's eyes. So, you know, I'm a big analytic guy. I'm really not going to get into a whole bunch of analytics, but, you know, we do this, and I believe in the numbers and how you stop. And this is how I've kind of formulated my rules in pick and roll, is just because I want to control as much direct and bad value shots as much as I can. So, and the biggest thing we want to do is we want to play all of our pick and rolls in a 2-on-2 situation in a small area. And at the end, I'll show you what the 3 players are. So these rules are up here. I'm gonna come back out. You're gonna hear me say them a lot. Bigs. It's communication, presentation, stunt contest, and trust your line. And then at the very end, you're gonna do one of 2 things. You're gonna get back to your big, or you're gonna call a switch and you're gonna go after. We do not like our bigs contesting guard shots. We want the guard to come back and rear view contest. All right. With the guards, you have to listen. You have to trust your command. Anytime you're watching film with your team, you can tell if the big is talking and how your guard reacts. It's very easy, and I'll show you on this. And then you got to get over the screen. Your top foot's got to go over the top, and it's tough. I mean, you got to pull yourself through. Some guys are really good screeners. Some guys slip out. You just have to go. And the pursuit is the biggest part. You got to just chase and try to square the ball, and it's all effort. I mean, you know, you'll hear a lot of coaches will tell you they have schemes for a lot of different situations. The defense is about effort and communication, putting all 5 of your guys on the floor on the same page. So it's an influence, war over the screen, pursue, and it's the same rule. You are contesting the shot with high active hands, or you're contesting the pass, or you're getting to the big and you're boxing the big out. Okay, it's real simple. You can test shots and passes, and on the pocket passes, you're going to see Willie Cauley-Stein's hands. So you're going to see Willie Cauley's hands a lot in this edit. He got really good at it. Karl Anthony Towns is a very good stunt contest player. So, okay, what do the other 3 players do? They're in to be out, and I'll show you a drill just on paper. In my opinion, it's a really good drill to work with guys. And what is the 4th defender? And any pick and roll happens, usually the other 2 people are in the corner, and the 4th defender is somewhere. And where is he at? And I'll show you some of those situations. So I'm just going to kind of get right to the film here. And I'm one of those, I believe in film. My college coach, and I've heard this around, they say Coach Video doesn't lie, and Coach Video is the video. So here we go. So this is what we're talking about, which is, this is a direct pick and roll. Okay. Doncic right here rejects the pick and roll. but he throws it to the first guy out and he shoots the ball. That would still get logged as a direct pick and roll. This is an indirect pick and roll. And I kind of put this on here. If you really want to log, when people talk about numbers and everything, there's 3 pick and rolls happen here. That would get considered as 1 and then 2, and they switched it. So Boban leaves. The pick and roll is still active. They defend it. He throws it out, but gets a closeout. And now the pick and roll is over. So I put both of those in. I use those terms, direct and indirect pick and rolls, and I just wanted to define them. So this is when I talk about, for us, how the NBA has changed. You can just see where most of the shots are coming. You know, a lot of teams, and us in Minnesota especially, it's the rim or threes. We want free throws, at the rim finishes, or 3-point shots. This area is contested low points per possession. Just to tell you, sorry, this area right here, right here in the corner is a 1.42 points per possession. Okay, inside is 0.9 possession, which is 2. Basically, if your foot's on the line, your points per shot go from 1.42 to 0.9, which is obviously a drastic change. Okay. I apologize. Okay, here we go. So here are your guard rules, or your on-ball defender. Who's ever guarding the ball, here's your rules again. You influence, you listen to your command, you roar over the screen. It's all pursue. It's a pursue, 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 and you're contesting or you're boxing out. Okay, you can hear on this, Gorgie Jang right here is talking to Shabazz Napier, and he just moved his feet. And now he's obviously going to get screened. Now it's his job to war over, and he influenced the ball to the direction, and now he wars over and he gets a rear view contest. This is pretty good defense. It's a low point per shot, and obviously we get the rebound. Here's on the side. I want everybody to watch Iman Shumpert right here. Nurkic is going to come over and set the screen, and you're going to see Willie Cauley-Stein and watch Iman Shumpert just kind of jump right there to force it to the side. And again, I said this with the bigs. Watch Willie Cauley-Stein's right hand. It's down just right there to kind of protect that pocket pass. Okay. Again, Bogdanovic can hear Willie Cauley-Stein. He jumps, forces the ball to the side, and they got great hands there. It's pursue. Watch Buddy Hield on pursue. I'm just going to let this one go. Portland runs a set here. He's going to get screened, but he just keeps pursuing, and we're going to take that shot. If you were to freeze this right here, you would kind of think Buddy's in trouble, but just because of the presentation here, Willie's good. And this is just kind of more from an advance, and I'll talk about this a lot. Bogdanovic does this a lot. He will always take on the roller. When I get to the other 3 guys, I'll tell you, I'm kind of a believer in this guy should tag instead of this guy, just so you don't have to X. And Bogey does a great job with a rebound. He'll do it again here. Watch this come off. You influence it. And when you say a rear view contest, Kemba Walker can feel Yogi Ferrell right here with this contest. And again, I want you to watch Bogdanovic here kind of clean up from the nail and discredit the offensive rebound. Okay. Here's a very good clip. If they have to switch it, you're going to see this in a second. This is the guard's responsibilities. He's influenced it. He's warred over the screen. He's pursued. And right now, he feels he can't get into it. So his job is not to contest. Willie Cauley-Stein is. So Buddy Hield goes right to the legs of the roller and gets him out. Okay. Here are the bigs' responsibilities. Obviously, communication's everything. I'll probably slow down the bigs a little bit more. The presentation, what do the guards see? Carol gave me a little credit for the Canadian National League, the Canadian national team in 2015. We went against Puerto Rico and JJ Barea. And that was our number one thing on our game plan is what does JJ see when he comes off a screen? What is the presentation of our big? What is he going to see when he comes off a screen? And then once the guard comes off your stunt contest, you have to be able to buy your guard some kind of time to come off. You jab at the ball. You saw Willie Cauley-Stein putting his hand in passing lanes, which is a big thing. And again, the last thing, you're boxing out or you're switching, all right? The level of the screen, you'll hear me talk about that. And the big's job, wherever he's at, he has to keep the ball and his man in front of him. We are trying to play in 2-on-2 situation, okay? And where do you engage the ball? And I'm a believer in this. You have to let your players pick their spot to engage. You can watch Kosta Koufos, and Kosta's defended a lot of pick and rolls right now. He's playing for CSKA in Russia, been in the NBA for a long time. You can see him kind of backing up there. That is where he likes to engage the ball. But look at his presentation. That's what Tyus Jones sees, the ball handler. That's what he sees when he comes off a screen. And again, Frank Mason's going to get a rear view contest. Okay, I'm going to turn the volume up on this just so everybody can hear it. You're going to hear Gorgie Jane just yelling, blew it, blew it, blew it.
Sexton gets the screen from Thompson.
And then this is a stunt contest. This is his area of engagement. This is just where G felt comfortable. But he gets active hands
Sexton,
where he's stabbing at the ball. And just that stab, he's long enough. He picked a great spot to engage the ball. You can see Jeff Teague is behind the ball, and it happens. Guys are going to get screened. But just that stunt contest, him getting attacked.
Gets the screen from Thompson, then loses the
It's
back.
a great play by G. Okay, Willie Cauley-Stein. This is what DeRozan sees when he comes off a screen. He sees an athletic big in a stance ready to go. And see how his hands are low, takes away the pocket pass, and then his hands go high just to protect the spray out passes. Pretty good clip for Willie. And this is Karl Anthony Towns. Karl is kind of like where Kosta. Karl trusts his activity with his hands, and so this is kind of his point of engagement right here. And just that one bite right there, you can see Karl, just the one swipe makes Bogdanovich kind of throw the pass a little bit before he wants. And with his left hand, he swipes at the ball. With his right hand, he gets it up. It's pretty good effort. And just to everybody, we drill this in Minnesota. Like we kind of have about 2 or 3 different drills that I'm going to show you. And we take 2 or 3 minutes every day. And we just go through it. And it's repetition. It's the same thing as guys standing in the corner shooting the ball 50 times. It's muscle memory. I mean, this is pretty good by Karl. That's what we define as a stunt contest. And then as you can see here, Trae Young's coming off. Again, Kosta, same presentation. And he doesn't contest that 15-foot floater. He gets back to the roller, which is Alex Len. He gets back and boxes him out. Does not contest. Okay, this is Harry Giles for us. Harry's in his second year. Very athletic, loves to play the game, and he pushes himself. He's going to defend 2 pick and rolls here. And Harry kind of had to learn where kind of his rule of engagement was. As you can see, his outside hand is on Vucevic's hip right here. And that's just where he was. He thinks that he can get up there and still keep Vucevic in front of him. So I'm just going to let this clip go, and he does it twice. There's the outside hand. He gets back to him. Now he plays another pick and roll. He comes back, and now he puts his outside hand on him again and still gets back. So this is what I kind of mean. It's like you have to let your bigs kind of dictate where they feel comfortable, where they can still engage the ball. They can't just stand way in the back and put it all on the guards. But where's their point where they can engage the ball but still keep the roller in front of them and get back to him if he makes that play. And again, here's Carl again. It's just kind of where Carl likes to go. You can see the difference between Harry and Carl. But Carl makes that one swipe, that stunt contest. And we got it. So this is kind of one of my favorite clips of our season. Okay. This right here is our 20-year-old undrafted Naz Reid. And he played summer league with us. And he talked about standing in this area right in here, actually a little bit below the nail. And we kind of said, hey, Naz, like, we think you're quick enough. You can get up a little higher and use your athletic ability, and you can always go backwards. It's really hard to start here and then think you're going to go here and then keep moving up and moving up. Why don't you start high? And if you get beat a couple times in summer league and you get beat in preseason, then maybe you can work yourself back. And this is now after the All-Star break, after the trade deadline, and this is where Naz was. He just found his spot. And again, I'm going to put this. I'm going to put the volume back up, and you can hear Naz in this clip, and he's yelling strong, which means we're setting it to the right hand. And you can see Josh's pursuit. And again, when I talk about Coach Video don't lie, I'll turn the volume off. Watch two things. Watch Josh Okogie's feet and watch Naz's head as he is yelling at him which way to send the ball. It's a good clip. And again, now watch Naz's feet. He keeps the ball and his man in front of him. It's a really good clip. Trust your line. This is more on the side. Okay. A lot of teams will try to run a side pick and roll, and the big will trail and just slip out. Willie Cauley-Stein's job, again, is to keep Harold, the screener, in front of him and the ball in front. Willie really doesn't impact the ball here because Harold never gets to the screen. And that's why we talk about trust your line. You don't ever want that roller behind you. You're going to allow lobs, and then more importantly, the weak side feels they got a tag, and now you start getting spray passes and open threes. Okay. One of the last things is it's a veer or it's a late switch. I like the term veer, late switch. Some people, we actually in Minnesota say late black because all switches are black for us. That's our term. But it's the same. Nothing changes in our rules. Here comes a pick and roll with Millsap and Jamal Murray. It's the same thing. We're down in a stance. This is where his engagement. De'Aaron's influencing the ball. He's warring over, and he's going to pursue. And one of them says, hey, listen, just get back to yours. Like, we're just going to switch it. We want to keep everybody in front of us. And so here are the rules now. The ball handler cannot shoot a three. And if Millsap decides to roll him, he's got to roll right down the middle between two guys. And we just yell fire. I mean, if you're in a building and you hear fire, you're going to get alert. So we just yell fire, and we want to scram. I'm going to run this clip a couple times. This time, I just want everybody to watch Belizia and Jamal Murray. Hey, if you get beat by a guard, but you cannot let him shoot a three, he gets all the way up, and he makes him a driver. And now watch the weak side. Watch Bogdanovich again. Bogey's really good at playing at the nail. Millsap tries to roll him, and he yells fire, and he scrams De'Aaron out of there. And here's another pretty good one. This one's with Willie Cauley-Stein and De'Aaron. So same thing, go over, pick and roll is the same. Now they just had to switch it. So this is pretty good. So Belizia kicks out De'Aaron, and then Amon Shumpert kicks out De'Aaron and goes to here. I just want everybody to watch the fire and the scram. And here it is on the side. There's a little pick and roll. Again, Boston's going to blue this. They blew it. And you can see Al Horford right here. He's actually pointing to Jaylen Brown just to get back. And a lot of teams do this, especially with bigs that want to shoot. Now he just goes back and he peels back and gets him contested the shot. In my opinion, one of the hardest pick and roll duos to play this year is Porzingis and Doncic. And that's how Orlando did it. Same thing. And they just peeled back. Okay. The other three defenders, what are their jobs along with the fourth defender? Anytime you have a pick and roll and you can teach us where do you want your team at, right when the pick and roll happens, obviously your weak side is in, okay? We are in Sacramento, we are not flat on the baseline. We are up in a stance a little bit, but nobody is giving up a corner three, especially a strong side corner three. I just want everybody to watch Buddy Hield right here. He does a great job. It's a one-way closeout. His guy doesn't catch the ball, but he starts in just to get out. Frank Mason actually gets a steal here. The ball starts going away from him, so he gets in, but then gets back out. He actually gets a steal. You're in to be out. And this is a big reason why. Now, this is kind of how we used to play it, and we just felt like we were getting killed on the corner three. The roller got kind of outside of us, so Vince decides to tag, leaving up a corner three. So now does Garrett Temple X out? And this happens a lot in the NBA, especially with different guys that can play. This is actually their two-man or their three-man. Jonathan Simmons was the two. This is their three-man in a pick and roll, and this is their four, and this is their two. Or excuse me, this is the point guard. So this happens a lot, and this is one of the reasons why teams don't do it. Great. So you have the four-man, which is Aaron Gordon, and our point guard, which is Garrett Temple. When this ball goes to the corner, Garrett Temple is not going to be able to contest at 6'5" to a 6'10" player. And it's one of the reasons why, I'm not a big X-out guy. And this is what I really like. And Bogdanovich got good, and this is Justin Jackson at it. So one of the reasons why we go over the screen and we have high active hands, Tyler Johnson here, he's going to get downhill at some point. We want him inside the three-point line. We want to make him make this pass all the way back over here to the high quad. That's a tough pass. We were stronging Tyler Johnson. He's a left-handed player, so we were forcing him to his right hand and make him make that pass. Again, look where it's not the easiest pass. You can see where Luke Babbitt catches the ball and Justin Jackson tags. He disrupts the roller, and he still gets back. And you get a contested shot. Okay, the weak side's going to exchange here. Blake Griffiths started low. He's going to come high. He's going to come down low. And Zach goes through the nail, which we all do, shell drill, exchange through the nail. And you can see, watch Zach Randolph, ball goes away. Zach just kind of gives him a little touch, disrupts the roller, and Willie Cauley-Stein gets back. So here are some situations. This happens all the time in the NBA. You're going to get an angle pick and roll with the corners filled and a high lifted. And it's not in the middle. It's on the side. It's a step up. Some people call it angle. It's just a side pick and roll with a corner filled. And what we call this, we blew this We keep it on the side with 3. And Amon Shumpert is not flat. He is not giving up the 3-point shot first and foremost, but he is presenting himself, allowing Willie just to get back to the roller that much quicker. And I actually have a video of a drill that we like to do. The Utah Jazz run angle pick and roll. We played our first time we played Utah this year. They ran this play where they got it right here 27 times in a game against us. Here's a really good job. Just watch Bogdanovich here. Again, he is not giving up a corner 3, and he is not flat. He's lending support. And now Coach Kufis, again, one of the great presentation here, but he can back up even more, especially with a big-time lob threat in Plumlee. Okay, this happens a lot more than people think. Now the ball's in the middle, okay, but it's a crowded side or it's a loaded side. Again, we still support. We don't help, but we support from the high quad on this side. As Lure will roll, Buddy Hield doesn't have to tag on a single side tag. You see support, and Buddy Hield can get back to his closeout. I'll run that again. This happens a lot in the NBA. This is just in the flow of a drag situation. And you get back, and now you've defended the pick and roll. And this is how it happens a lot. Teams will play. They'll pitch it. It's a DHO. You go back under. And now you're going away from the crowd. And here's the crowd right here. Marvin Bagley is in, supporting Willie. And watch Willie Cauley-Stein's feet. Marvin's yelling, crowded, crowded, crowded. So Willie just starts going back. And you get a contested, tough 3-point shot. Okay. Again, I'm showing some kind of easy stuff and some higher level learning. This is one of the big adjustments teams in the NBA do now. Okay. Now the ball's coming back to the crowded side. And a lot of teams do this where Amon Shumpert's going to come in here and support and try to get Willie Cauley-Stein back to his man in Jokic. But Gary Harris is going to cut. And Buddy Hield is actually going to pick up the cutter, and he's going to yell, go. And that means I have your man, go to mine. I'm just going to run it at kind of quick speed here. Everybody's just playing basketball. This is in our defensive package. Cut. You yell, go, you pick up the ball, and you can watch Amon Shumpert just go right to the corner. This is kind of going back to the point where I said, you know, you're in a coach's meeting. We all have them. You're the defensive guy. You're presenting a game plan. You're saying, hey, this is what I want to do. And one of the coaches says, well, I'll just cut that guy out. Well, this happens enough. You know, the last person to have the pen wins. And so that happens. Another thing that happens a lot is just short action. Here comes the pick and roll. And the other big man, the Pacers usually play with 2 bigs. He's just going to go block to block and try to take away the crowd. And anytime that happens, in the NBA, we have 2.9 rules. I know sometimes in FIBA there's no rules. We just park whatever big, we put them right in the middle of the basket just to make the ball handler see them and the opposite big see them. It's a pretty good defensive play by Scal Labrisiere. I'll just run it again for you. Just watch Scal at the bottom just kind of park himself right in front of the rim. So the blue with 3, when I talk about the 4th defender, the blue with 3 is a big deal for us. The corner guy with Bogdanovich and the crowded side. A lot of times, you know, these plays are very normal in our league, and so we have these drilled in our packages. Okay, here are just some drills that we do. I want just to start off, I want everybody to watch Garrett Temple. This is him, if you can see my cursor. What his progression is. He starts with the drill. It's two sets of bigs. All right. They're setting a high pick and roll. We defend it one way. The other big comes up, throws it to the coach on the side. He rolls off. So Garrett Temple just became, who was the offensive player that started the drill. Now he becomes the defensive player on the ball. Now we go the other way. We defend the pick and roll. Other big comes. He gets the side. And now he was just the stunt guy over here. He was one of the other three guys. He has defended now a high pick and roll and a stunt on the side. Okay, same thing. Now the pick and roll is going to go the other way. Pick and roll happens. You swing it. And now he is guarding the side pick and roll. So here you go. I'm just going to let it run. I know sometimes people like to use cameras and videotape the drill. This is one of my favorite pick and roll drills. It just keeps going. At this time when we did this drill, we were more of a showing team, so ignore the shows. But it's just a very slow. I found a slow clip of it, just so you can get the aspect of the drill. You can use players on the side. We like to use coaches to do the side pick and roll defense just to kind of keep the drill going. Now it's Aaron Afalo was on offense. Now he goes to defense. Now he gets the stunt. He gets the closeout. Now Buddy Hield would go from offense to defense, and we started all over again. Okay. This is one of my favorite drills. We do this at shoot around a lot. Okay. This is Coach Kufis. He is going to defend 4 angle pick and rolls, and all of the guards are going to get a crack at being in the corner, being in the high quad area, high slot area, and the corner. So here's one. All right. Again, we have corner, strong side corner. You're not giving up a 3, and you're not flat. We're bluing it with 3, and you swing it to the other side. The moment you swing it to the other side, those 2 guards switch spots. So there's another one. Ball comes back to the 3rd angle pick and roll. You get a blue with 3. And then there's your 4th one. I'll let you run it again. There's 1. Good blue with 3. Let's see what the corner guy does over here. That's him right there. Good blue with 3. Getting the roller back, kicking it back. Blue with 3. It's actually Omri Caspi. Good length there. You come back here, and we're bluing with 3 there. And it just, we go through that. We do it against Utah. Okay. This one's pretty slow here. This is what happens. This is kind of a fire scram situation, or if you have to double. Okay. You get the 1 and the 5 getting a pick and roll. We talk about we're trying to weak everything. Great. We get the ball squared. Now here comes the 4. And we are going to switch with the 1 and the 4. Marvin runs De'Aaron Fox down. We cannot fire or scram it. The ball would go in. I'll let it go in here. Here's the 1 pick and roll. Here's the 2nd pick and roll. We switch it. Now De'Aaron fights and fronts the post. If the ball goes in, we come and help and double the post from the baseline. Okay, we actually call this bluing the post. It's the same actual footwork as the guard is forcing it baseline and the big's coming over. And now when the ball goes out, the guard leaves and we scramble from there. So I'll just run it back for you one more time. And again, we do this a lot, just to kind of make sure if we can't get a fire scram situation out, and just kind of the big reason is it's never an always situation. You don't know where the other people are when you have to switch and practice your fire scram. I just kind of threw these in here. This is just angle pick and rolls. This is Atlanta. Here's Boston. Again, we're blowing that. Here's Detroit getting into it. The end of the day, it's an angle pick and roll. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 guys out. And here's Utah in many different ways they can get into an angle pick and roll. Sacramento, again, so this is one of the reasons, whatever league you're in, there's always a trend. Basketball can kind of get a copycat league, some copycat situation sometimes. Make sure whatever you have in your package. All right. A big one, a lot of teams ask us about how do you defend stack action. What stack action is when the big comes and sets a middle pick and roll and a guard tries to back screen X5. Okay. In my opinion, the best way you defend the pick and roll the best way you can with the guard, you weak or strong it, you send it to the direction. The guard gets over it. The big should back up and try not to get screened. Sabonis gets out of this. And then who's ever guarding the screener just goes and attacks the ball. Who's ever guarding the ball, it's his job to get him inside the three-point line, and then he peels back off to the shooter. I'll let it run full time here. My opinion, a lot of teams in the NBA run stack. I've seen it in FIBA. In my opinion, it's a pretty good way to defend it. You know your team is really good when this guy and this guy start yelling out the coverages in stack. So just for everybody right now, I got about 3 minutes left. If you have questions, I know we're going to put it on the chat, and Ms. Diaz is going to go through it here. So just kind of, if you have some questions, you can start typing them in now. Here's stack again. Again, this is the Lakers. Same thing. You know, everybody does a good job keeping bodies on bodies. And then this will be kind of my last clip here. You know, what is everybody doing? This is pistol action, or I'll run 2 more clips. This is pistol action, where what are you doing with the guard-to-guard screen? And then when the big cleans it up. Okay. I think this is a good clip for coaches that work with bigs. Watch, this is Taj Gibson. He does a great job in keeping his line with Jared Allen. He never allows Jared Allen to get out. And what happens when you over-tag and you over-commit, because Taj Gibson is keeping the ball and the roller in front, there's no need for a tag. Morris kind of overhelps here. And now you're asking him to close out all the way, you know, to a 3-point shot. They don't need to give that shot up. And then the last thing here, pick and rolls that happen inside the 3-point line. This happens a lot. I think you should have it in your coverage. You just go under it and contest shots. So that's kind of all I have for that. Again, here are the rules again, which I'm a big. It's communication, presentation, stunt contest, and you're boxing them out, or it's a switch. You're getting back to your own, or you're going to the guard. You cannot, bigs give up so many offensive rebounds when they try to contest 15-foot floaters when their teammate is running behind them and in their ear and rear view contesting. The guards, it's an influence and it's a war, and you're warring over the screen as much as you can, and it's a pursue. Your other players are there in to be out. So here are just a couple. I'm going to share this real quick. Here are some drills that I really like to do. Again, this is kind of part of our daily dozen. So everybody can see you have 2 lines, one here, and you put one guy in the middle. This guy is guarding here, okay? When the ball attacks him, he's there, but he is starting to work himself out. Now, when the ball gets passed, he immediately goes and closes out. All right? Great. Now this guy would have been here because he attacked to here. This guy is done. The ball is here. Now he attacks and he closes out, and it just goes back and forth. All right. This drill right here, which I like a lot. You can use coaches, you can use players, however your staff works. It's just a coach and a player. He comes off this pick and roll. He gets over the screen, wars. You have your coach shoot this shot, and it's just a rear view contest. You just work on it's a blue, or it's a weak, however you define how many areas you want, and you work on your rear view contest, and you work on your pursuit. Same thing here, but you put a player, he comes off the screen, and you play. Sometimes you have him shoot it, he contests. X4 is working on getting back and boxing out, getting back and boxing out, getting back and boxing out. We don't ever allow our guys to switch in this drill. And then just sometimes we will throw this pocket pass as he rolls, and they'll play one-on-one for a quick second. If you have a big man coach that you like to play, change this to a coach and run your drill. And as he comes off, throw it to the coach, have him get back and play some one-on-one with the coach. I'm a big fan of that stuff. We do this. I probably would say we do this drill 3 times a week in Minnesota. And we got really good at rear view contesting. And we got really good at pursuing. Josh Shakoji became one of the best pursuit guys, in my opinion, in the league. So that's all I got. I'll get the film back up. If anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer.
Thanks, Coach. So how much practice time do you normally spend on this pick and roll defense?
We hit it every day. We obviously the schedule allows us, if it's a big time travel day, if we have 4 games in a week, and you usually get one good practice day a week. And we'll have stations this year in Minnesota. David Vanderpool would take one side and I'd take the other, and we'd spend about 6 minutes, and then we'd switch and do the same thing just to make sure all the guys got it. We do a continuous pick and roll drill, or then we just break it up and do the. We would just do this one right here on one side. We do this one on one side, and then the continuous pick and roll drill on the other. I mean, just pick and roll is such a big part of our game. So we hit it every day. The tough thing, in my opinion, is you want to find, we call it the daily dozen. We're going to find about 6 drills, so we don't have to teach the drill all the time. Hey, guy, you have 100 drills, and you might call it a Tennessee drill. And then you got to go back and spend 5 minutes just teaching the drill, and you lose what you're really trying to get out of it. So I think it's okay to have a small drill book. If you have some time, you can introduce some more drills, but we like just to hit them like 2 or 3 minutes every day and do it. It's such of a big part of the NBA game, so you have to do it.
Okay. Now, Earl from Aruba asked, what kind of drill do you run for communication? Because with this kind of defense, especially, you need to communicate. Or how do you encourage your team to communicate, especially, while doing this defense?
Okay. So you see this drill right here, okay? So I'm going to do this. And again, we do this a lot. You get a line of guards up here, and you put a line of bigs down here. Okay? He's got the ball. He's here. He comes up and sets the screen. I'm just going to use it. He comes up and sets the screen. He goes off. He defends the pick and roll. Right? He doesn't do anything. He turns right back around and throws this guy the ball. He gets out of there. Now he goes and defends him. These two are out. The next two come on, and they go the other way. He defends the pick and roll, and he comes off. He defends, he defends, he defends. He keeps going. You get the ball squared. Next guy comes up. He gets it. You throw him the ball and come right back on defense. These two guys get out of the way. New defender, new off. However you want to do down here. If you want to go offense to defense, that's fine. The next guy comes up, goes the other side. He defends it. He comes off. And you keep doing it. And you keep doing it. And it kind of looks like this. Can everybody sees the practice drill now? You have the practice court up? Well, you'll know if I'm not.
Yes.
Okay. So it's just here. He comes up, comes off the screen. Now Garrett Temple would have just thrown the ball to the next guy in line and then go and guard it. This is just a bigger rotation, and you just keep doing it. You take away the sides, and you keep doing it. If you feel like you have a lot, if you just need to break down weak and strong, you just do that. If you want to add the blue, this continuous pick and roll drill, we might put 4 minutes on the clock, 3 minutes on the clock, and just keep doing this and keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And the practice gym is quiet, so you can hear guys talk. And I love the question because I said this at the beginning. As coaches, you want your team to talk more. I mean, if everybody carried around cell phones and could text each other the coverages, we'd all be better coaches, but we can't do that.
Okay. Now, Perry Thompson asked, when you face a team with great scoring guards, would you consider going with a small lineup defensively so you can switch on screens and just double up the post?
Yes. Yeah. There's Daniel Gallinari is an automatic late black for us. I think I have it. I thought Belly did it. Sorry, I'm just trying to. Right here. So we have guys in this game. Paul Millsap we called it an automatic late black. And one of the reasons why I like late black, okay, is De'Aaron Fox is going over the top, okay? You're not giving away that you're actually switching the ball. You're not giving it away. So Millsap pops because he thinks that his big that Belizia can't get back to him. And so now you make the offense pause sometimes. Sometimes when you just go under a screen, if De'Aaron were just to go under, he knows they're going to switch it, so he automatically just starts rolling them to the block. And so to answer that question, I know it sounds kind of odd. If you go under, that means you can bully him a little bit. The more I watch, this is my favorite pick and roll coverage. Boston really started doing this about 4 years ago, and they called it veer. And we call it late black. You treat it just the same way, and it's just a late switch. And so that's how I would answer your question. When bigs see, when they see who's guarding them back up, they pop thinking that they're never going to get back to them. And so you just peel or you veer or you late black getting back.
Now, we have another question from a participant. Do you think analytics and probabilities have changed the game for the better or the worse?
Yes. I mean, we worry about that shot, and we worry about that shot right there. Nobody ever, if Paul Millsap runs De'Aaron Fox down here and they throw him the ball and he scores on the little guy, the little guy's always going to yell, hey, where's my help? If he gives up a three here everybody's going to get on him for giving up a three. So yes, the three in analytics has, in my opinion, changed a lot of things. It's one of the reasons why you see a lot less trapping. Not a lot of teams commit two to the ball because now you're in rotations. And, when you're in rotations, if a team is a good passing team, you can't ever catch up to the ball. There's going to be an open three, especially from the corner.
We had a participant ask if you can go over briefly, again, indirect and direct screening.
Okay. Yep. So this is a direct pick and roll. Okay. If Luka shoots a layup or throws it to Dwight Powell, it is a direct. Or if he throws it, makes one pass out, and he shoots the ball, that is a direct. This is an indirect. When they run pick and roll and the ball is continually moving, they've created a switch with this pick and roll. So the pick and roll led to this switch, which is still active. So the pick and roll is still active. Now he still makes the one pass, but he doesn't shoot the ball. He passes. Now it's an indirect. So the play is over.
Virgil Lopez asked.
But it would be logged as an indirect. Most of the clips I showed are more like, here's a pick and roll, the ball handler shoots it.
Okay.
Here's a pick and roll, the ball handler turns the ball over. Okay. Go ahead.
Virgil Lopez asked, in the step-up action situation, without somebody in the corner, do you use the same defense?
No, it's a great question. I'm going to unshare myself real quick. And this is a okay. Okay. Everybody sees Sacramento Kings and Orlando? We're good? Okay. So here's your question. Because of the three-point line, a lot of teams, they want to call coverages are a little bit softer. The bigs aren't as aggressive because they're back and the guards are going over the top. Now here it is when the corner is empty. I like go get it. Go trap the ball. There's some certain things that you can keep your defense aggressive. Anytime there's an angle or corner or an angle pick and roll with the corner empty, we trap it. I mean, we full-fledged go after it. These three guys can cover. You can see them pulling over. So you like to sometimes try to deny maybe the first pass and get these guys out. I love to trap it. It's a Dave Yeager Sacramento thing. David Vanderpool in Portland, those guys did it. We had a term we called dog. I mean, we let the pit bulls out on you, and we called it dog. So great question. I took it out of the notes. I didn't want to go too long on the video, but it's a great question. And this is how it happens a lot, where there's just a pin down, and you defend the pin down, and so they just come back and they play a rescreen. And it happens a lot. So, yes, go trap it.
Okay. What was the biggest transition for you from the D League to the NBA?
For me personally, was the player talent. I mean, the players in the NBA are just they're so talented. I mean, it's just I mean, it's the talent, and the NBA players. It's so small of a difference, but it's huge. They're the G League and the D League guys work hard, and I mean they really work hard. The NBA players take it to a different level with their nutrition and all that. I mean they completely, it's for all of us now. It's a full-time job, and the NBA players they're bigger, stronger, faster, but they get their bodies there. They recover better. They take care of their bodies, and obviously they have the resources to do that also. But at being in the D League and minor leagues for as much, that's kind of how I helped our guys. I'm like, it's like, what are you guys eating? Like, what did you do after the game? What did you eat? Did you stretch after the game? And the way the NBA players, especially today with now all the resources they had, but even 11 years ago when I started, they didn't really have as much resources, but NBA players really take care of themselves.
Would you say nutrition is probably number one?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's more now vegans and vegetarians in the NBA. I mean, it's the new thing with players. I think Chris Paul just came out. I mean, I was with Chris Paul in New Orleans. I mean, he loved poor boys. I mean, it was funny. He told him all the good spots to go, and now I think he's a vegan or vegetarian. So, but
Yeah.
and I kind of going off, a big coaching part is having a relationship with your players. If you really want to help your players, help them all the time. Help them off the court. And it's just not. Ask them what they're eating. Ask them stretching after the game is so important. And it helps you recover. Even if you play Wednesday and Friday, you take care of your body after the game on Wednesday. On Thursday, it really allows your body to recover instead of now you stretch on Thursday. Now you start recovering on Friday and you got to play. I think the really good players, they do a great, because it's 82 games. It's a long season.
Definitely. Now, you're known to have great relationships with coaches, but especially players. How do you approach players and begin to build trust with them?
I had a first of all, from a coaching standpoint, I had some mentors and I listened to them. If you have somebody that you really care about, listen to what they say. They're not telling you, they're not steering you in the wrong direction. And players want to be helped. I mean, they really, at the end of the day, one-on-one meetings and film. For me, I love to watch film, and I love to tell them, hey, this is what we're doing and why we're doing it. I think so many times in coaching, we have a practice plan and we just say, okay, we're going to work on transition defense, pick and roll, and giving them the why. And then more importantly too, it's when you're making up a defense, I'll give you an example, making up a defensive game plan. I think it's okay to tell them, how the other team's going to beat you. I mean, we lost to Houston this year, and James Harden had, I think, 41 points, but it was on like 47 shots. And we were just like, guys, we were going to force him a direction and we were going to do it. And he did it and got to the free throw line. But I mean, he shot like 30% for the game. And we were like, they beat us. And we struggled from the free throw line a little bit. And I just think you have to tell your team the why. Like, hey, this is what we're doing and this is why. And even, I'm working out Jake Layman right now and we have a plan. And I think being educated and having a plan and sharing the plan with your players is a good thing. It's the days of having a 2-hour practice and running lines are over with. Players don't want to do that. They want you to tell them how you're going to help them get better. And they want somebody to invest in. They have 100 people in their ear, try to touch their heart a little bit.
Now, who's one of your mentors and what's one thing you've learned from them along the way?
If I can tell one quick joke, my college coach that I worked for in the CBA, when he told me he was retiring, he said, what was the one thing I remembered? And I said, Coach, you always told me Valentine's Day was important to my wife. So I always remember that. So Valentine's Day first and foremost. But I mean, my first coach, it's always, as young coaches, we want to just overanalyze everything and do 10 drills when you only need to do 3. And it's don't ever, lose the fundamentals, like stunt contest and pursuing. I know this sounds goofy. I don't think that teams work on passing enough. And, Coach Dye would tell me, like, go on your passing. You guys don't work on passing. He was telling us we didn't work on rebounding enough and why our guys didn't rebound with 2 hands. I know that's kind of a lame answer, but everything you do in practice, will always carry over, working on your fundamentals, but more importantly, being prepared. For me, being around my first coaches, Larry Kostoviak, Rory White, and then moving on, to the NBA, Paul Westphal, and especially Monty Williams. Monty Williams is one of the most prepared individuals I've ever met in my life. I mean, and so the game looks easy to him. You watch him now as the head coach in Phoenix, and he's very calm, and he's always ready for the next step because he's prepared himself in his way. I mean, and I think with that, he touches players' hearts and he prepares them, and more importantly, he prepares himself.
Okay. Now,
I saw Carol kind of nod her head because she probably knows Monty Williams and understands exactly what I'm saying with that. So
definitely. I want to take it back a little bit to your experience with Team Canada. How did that relationship start?
Well, it's funny, David Vanderpool, which I'm at, was there. I have a good relationship with I knew Dave Vanderpool a little bit, but I knew Nate Tibbetts was an assistant in Portland, and Jay Triano is a Canadian national team coach. And we had lost our job in New Orleans, and I kind of wasn't doing anything that summer, still looking for a job, and it worked out for me we went to the Pan Am Games, which I love FIBA basketball. And then we also went to the 2015 Tournament of the Americas to qualify for the Olympics. It was such a great, I love FIBA basketball. I love the international competition. And for me, it really, we always look for something that can challenge us and take us to the next level. That was one of the biggest challenges I had. I've been in the NBA for 7 years. I've been in minor league basketball for 11. I've won I think 4 Coach of the Year in minor league basketball awards at different levels. And I walked in this FIBA thing. I was like, this is awesome. I had no clue what I was doing because it's such of a different game. I mean, even the start of the offensive rebound going to the 14-second shot clock, you're just like, wow, it was great. The goaltending rules. And then, the biggest challenge for me was, okay, now I see this. Now, okay, we got to do something with this. Especially the coaches that had been with, in the NBA, Jay Triano, David Vanderpool, and myself. All right, what do we do if we get an offensive rebound? Now we only have 14 seconds, and there's some chaos to it. Like, what do we do? And developing a plan for that, and learning from our players when they told us, well, this is how we had a kid, Melvin Elam, that he was phenomenal at the international block shot when the ball hits the rim to go get it. I mean, he'd get 2 or 3 of them a game. And, so you're communicating with him. Now you're trying to take this to another player, it's 2 or 3 times a game. That's 6 points. I mean, that's a huge swing. So I think that, and then the biggest thing for me that challenged me was the timeout rule and, going back to the preparation point. I mean, it was awesome. It's one of the best summers I've ever had. And to be honest with you, I didn't have a job the whole summer. And at the end of the summer, I got one. So it was stressful, but it was so enjoyable.
Okay. Now, I know coaching has its ups and downs, but what was that aha moment when you realized coaching is what you love and want to do?
Well, so I kind of have the lame thing. When I was in 7th grade, I wrote a book report. We all had to do those book reports when we were in in junior high, what do you want to be in life? And I actually wrote down, I wanted to be an NBA coach in 7th grade. So my senior year in high school, I was an assistant coach for the freshman team. And so I've known I wanted to do this for since day one. I mean, when I finished school at Boise State, I had a job at Micron Technology that paid me $52,000 coming out of college, and I told my dad I wasn't going to do it and wait tables at Red Lobster. And my friend might even be on here. That he was the GM of the team, Clay Mosier. It's an assistant coach for University of Arkansas. So I went back and volunteered at a CBA team and went back to waiting tables at Red Lobster instead of taking this job that I supposedly I went to college for. My dad hung up the phone on me. So when I told him, so I've never had an aha moment. The coolest thing I ever did, I think, was in summer league once. It was in Salt Lake City, and I was taking notes. And I grew up being a huge Celtics fan. Actually, one of my favorite year I've ever coached, I was Dennis Johnson's assistant. But before that, I was his assistant. I was at the Salt Lake City Summer League, and Larry Bird sat down to me and started asking me my opinion on. He knew who I was and started asking me my opinion. I thought that was pretty cool. So, because I will tell you, at the end of the day, I'm the biggest basketball fan of. I got a great job. I mean, I love the game. I'm one of those guys. I wear my heart on my shoulder a little bit. You can tell that my kid through this whole pandemic, my kids walk around trying to FaceTime all the players. It's funny. So.
That's funny. Now I have one last question, and it's from Glenn, and it's, what should smaller FIBA territories prioritize in their development programs?
Smaller FIBA territories, smaller countries, but not a lot of resources. Is that what I'm kind of talking about?
Yes.
Okay. I'm a big part. I will tell you this, real simple. Okay. And we do this at our level, and you can do it. And I don't really know if it's basketball, but it's more just understand your resources, write down what you can do. Okay. We can have the gym from 2 to 4, or we can have, and you might not even have a weight room, or you can do this. Write down a plan and stay to your plan, and get some other people involved, and hey, this is what we're going to do. I think so many people, we sit back and we say, hey, we can't do this. Or, I mean, even there was a time where we were going to go to Orlando in the bubble. Like a lot of the teams in the bubble are like, okay, we're going to get 2 hours of practice time. And it might be from 7 to 9 at night. Okay, great. This is what we're going to do. Don't complain about the things you don't have, but, grasp those resources that you have and run with it. I know this coaching in Lebanon. I mean, sometimes we had like 8 players because some of the, we had a lower end budget. Some of the players had to work. Okay, great. And in minor leagues, it happened all the time. Enid, Oklahoma, we'd have 7 players. Great. What are we going to do with these 7 players for 45 minutes? And I know this. So I'm going to make a plan, and I'm going to wear my heart on my shoulder. I'm going to be the most enthusiastic guy about it. But from a basketball standpoint, start with your fundamentals. Make sure you lock down on the fundamentals. And if you're building your program, include your players on what you want to call things. Okay, to the simplest thing, what do you hear if you're defending a middle pick and roll? Do you hear weak or strong? Do you hear on your right or on your left? Do you want to call one side blue and one side alligator? I don't care. Like, you just include the players and what comes out of their mouth. I mean, Willie Cauley-Stein became a great pick and roll defender because he liked saying, hey man, I'm on your right. I'm on your right. And it worked for him. And so the team bought into it. And so include your players in your building. I'm going back to what JJ Watt said. Be stubborn in your goals, but be flexible in your process. Understand what you have. And I understand. I mean, I spent 11 years in minor league basketball. I've been in gyms with no air conditioning in July. You make sure you find the positives and run with them, and make sure that you have your fundamentals down and you're organized, and go step by step. Find out where you want to end. I guess to answer, to to put it real simple, find out where you want to end and work backwards and figure out your plan to get there with the resources that you have. Because everybody's resources, I fully understand it being different level. Everybody's resources are different.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach, for your insight. And thank you, FIBA Americas, for having us. We would like to thank all the participants, national federations, and WABC on today's virtual coaches clinic. We hope everyone had a great time and learned from this incredible experience. We thank everyone again for participating, and thank you, Bryan, again for being a part of our coaches clinic.
Great. Thanks for having me. Everybody, good luck.
Thanks, Bryan.
Thank you.